want to talk about something today that is of interest to me and maybe a little bit worrying. I've not seen it mentioned much and it came to my attention today, but it is out there. There are videos out there, there are reports out there. I'm talking about George Osborne and the Evening Standard. The Evening Standard has always had leaning towards a Conservative Party under the reign of its editor Sarah Sands. Now, it's reported that even during the London mayor elections, there were 13 out of a possible 15 news releases sent by Conservative candidate Zac Goldsmith, but only 3 out of 8 campaign news releases sent by the Labour candidate Sadiq Khan that were covered. They even linked Sadiq Khan to terrorist extremist groups, and any positive headlines about Zac Goldsmith were placed at the front of the paper, while positive ones about Khan were placed at the back. Now, I've already said in the past about Zac Goldsmith and linked him to a certain amount of undesirables. It took me a while and a bit of digging, but you will find that in this video. Now, what I am saying now, that was under the editor Sarah Sands, but of course, now we have a new editor, George Osborne, who quite obviously has an involvement with the government. Obviously, what chance does any other party and an independent view given to the public actually have? Well, he has come out and started saying this.
Of course, this paper is edited primarily in the morning. Parliament votes in the afternoon. Crucially, though, people need to know this. I will speak for London and Londoners through this paper as its editor. And we will judge whatever the government does, whatever the mayor does, against that simple test. Is it good for London or isn't it? And if it isn't good for London, then we will say so and we won't be afraid to do that. If it's good for London, we will of course back it. So we will be fearless and we will be independent in our approach, because that's what people want from a newspaper. And at times like this, that's what journalism is for, to provide people with the evidence, the facts, the analysis, then they can make their own judgments.
Do you believe him? I don't. 2 things. First thing, you're not a journalist. And 2, independent in its approach. It is proven that the Evening Standard has leaning towards the Conservatives. Proven. So isn't it now going to be even more difficult, more biased? He gives the impression, a bit like Theresa May, that he relates to Londoners, wants to be their voice. In 2016, he was named as Britain's highest grossing MP, and that's fine. If you earn that money, why not go for it? But when I tell you where he earned that money, it may become clear. Some of you won't know why, but many of you will, so here we go. In 2016 alone, he earned £628,000 on top of his MP salary of £74,000, mostly from lucrative public speaking engagements. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because most of his earnings come from speeches for an investment bank, JP Morgan, for which he received £81,000 plus and £60,000 plus. A speech for Palmex Derivatives, remember that name, £80,240, and another for the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, £69,000. Now, JP Morgan, I don't like that name. This is the bank that at the end of 2016 were fined $288 million by European regulators for interest rate manipulation. Now, I don't like them even more so because it's amalgamated with Chase Bank, and we all know who owns Chase Bank. And we all know who owns most of the central banks, certainly in America. But Palmex Derivatives, now I've had a long dig around, and nothing except for the fact that apparently their operations are said to include financial and insurance activities, security broking and fund management. But they don't have a website, no listed telephone number or email address, and was, until December, registered to a detached brick home in a cul-de-sac in Southend-on-Sea. Now, that's strange, isn't it? For a company that can offer an £80,000 plus for a speech that took 2 hours, and they had to fly George Osborne to New York for it. So do I trust him to be an editor for a newspaper that reaches on average 1.5 million people? No, I don't. The Conservatives are managing to extend their claws into everything we possibly take our thoughts from. David Cameron appointed a chairwoman to the BBC who had a Conservative link. Theresa May, fair enough, made her step down though, saying she had to apply for the job properly. But now, and newsprint media, if it wasn't before, it is now, in the hands of a Tory MP. How long before other Tory MPs get in on the act? Once they see how much wealth could be earned for this type of involvement, how long is it going to be before the Tories not only have influence over our media, but actually control what is put out into our minds? Then what do we do then? Or any other party that has our best interests at heart? What chance do we have? Seriously, what chance do we have? And how long do we sit by and swallow it? Rather than gallivanting off all over the place for these elitist companies, shouldn't George Osborne be paying attention to his constituents? Well, shouldn't he? I don't trust the Conservatives, never had, and a lot of them were part of the Bullingdon Boys Club. For me, any member of that, I don't trust. And if you look at past members, you won't be surprised as to why I'm saying that. So it goes on, and this latest position from Osborne is a sickener. We must stay united, because as I always say, united we can have a better society and a better political system. Do you agree with Osborne's new job? Take the names from this video and have a look round for yourself. Now, I like to point out people like this, but at the end of the day, you have to form your own opinions. If you do have an opinion, why not let us know below in the comments? Feel free to comment whatever you like. Don't forget to click subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.